Okay, Sarah. Yeah, I don't think I've ever even heard all of Sarah's testimony, so I'm just gonna ask questions as we go. Just start us off and like growing up, and as much as you want to share and whatnot, but growing up, what was your childhood like? What did your faith look like?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to dig into our testimony, guys. I'll kind of, like Bailey just asked, I'll start with how I grew up and stuff. But I am excited to just share my story and how no matter how many times I strayed away from God throughout my life or walked away, I feel like even in daily life, we can do things where we're abandoning Him and not thinking about Him. So I'm just excited to share through my testimony how He never leaves our side. Every time I strayed from Him or I lost sight of Him, He was always there waiting for me when I was ready to come back to Him. So yeah, I grew up in a small town on a farm, grew up with my mom and dad, and I had a twin brother and two younger brothers. And we grew up going to a Catholic church. I went to a Catholic elementary school. So I was very blessed that way because I grew up knowing, I learned how to read the Bible. I knew all the Bible stories. We went to church every Sunday. There wasn't as much of the praying at home or reading the Bible at home, but I was still very fortunate to
have that sort of foundation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would still say the only thing that I kind of missed growing up was I never learned that the most important part of me or my true identity comes from being a child of God. I still lost that part of it. And so I think about that with my kids now. It's I want them to know from a early age that their most important identity is knowing that they're a child of God. Because I think if that sticks with them, hopefully they won't have as many. Everyone has their moments and their testimonies throughout life, and that can be a good thing too. But I think a lot of my ups and downs came from not knowing that.
Okay, so
after basically in college is kind of where I would say my testimony starts, just because I went to St. Ben's, so Catholic private school, also for college. But I had nothing to do with Jesus when I went to college. I was still going to church up until college, and then when I went to college, I just felt so lost. I could not find a group to fit in with. I did not feel like I belonged. I feel like my anxiety peaked super high in college. So I couldn't even find Jesus amidst all the noise and distractions, and my anxiety was so loud. You don't belong, you don't fit in. Just trying
When did that start? Did you have anxiety prior to going into college? Is that something that you struggled with?
I don't know that I recognized it as a kid, but anytime I had to do something new, or be away from my family. And partly I am an introvert, and that's okay, but there was meant to leave my parents. I never wanted to do sleepovers or play dates, even daycare, elementary school. I think that was all rooted in anxiety that I did not want to leave their side. And I remember I would wake up most mornings and my heart would be pounding, but I thought that was just normal. I didn't know that was not how you had to feel. And so I didn't recognize that even was anxiety as a kid, but then it definitely peaked in college. Now my parents aren't even here. I moved by myself. I would normally turn to my parents, but they weren't there. So instead of turning, I didn't have my parents to turn to. I didn't know I wasn't following Jesus when I went to college, because I didn't even know how to I was too scared to almost even go to church by myself, I think. So I just turned to what everybody else did in college. It seemed normal to party and drink and search for boyfriends. And I would just, you're searching for the world to fill you. And it never worked. It just led to more anxiety, probably led down more depression as I went through college, eventually opened doorways to eating disorders too. And I would party and drink and binge on the weekends. And then during the week, I'd be okay, now I'm not going to eat. I'm going to overwork out, because I feel like that was the beginning of okay, well, I have to get control somewhere here. And so I was just trying to take control and trying to fit in and get in and be well, if I'm skinnier, if I'm more fit, then I'll fit in. And so all of those pieces were playing together to be I don't know who I am.
That's the hardest time of life, if you have the opportunity to go to school, because you are on your own and you are making those decisions. Nobody's waking up in the morning hey, we're going to church. You're making those decisions, and then when you are trying to fit in and find your people, it's you kind of, it reminds me of Romans 12 too. do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. But like, that's kind of what you do if you don't know Jesus. You conform to what's around you. And so then, you're lost and you're thinking, okay, well, I have to be this way so that I fit in. And you just totally lose sight of who you really are.
They're all like open doors to the enemy too. Like you first like open the door, like I'm just gonna go and have one drink at the party, and then it's like pretty soon you're drinking every night. Or and then that doorway, the alcohol didn't help with the anxiety. It just compounded off of each other. And then so then you're just like looking for more fulfillment. And like so junior year of college, I started dating my college boyfriend then. Again, like he was up on a pedestal, and like my happiness completely ebbed and flowed on either like what he said or what he didn't say. So if he said something wrong, then I was upset and unhappy. But my source of strength and happiness, it's not supposed to come from a person. I didn't know where to find that at the time. So fast forward to after college, I was living in the cities with a really good girlfriend who was a blessing during that time, because I was dating my college boyfriend for probably about 4 years at this point. And this was kind of the moment that God revealed himself to me. But so it was about 2 years after college, and I was working on an oncology unit at the hospital. And I remember one night I was taking care of a patient with ovarian cancer. And I remember I was taking care of her in her room, and she asked me the question. She's like, "Do you believe in heaven and hell?" And I was like, yeah. And like, I had not thought about Jesus for years at this point. And then she was like, "Well, how do you think you get to heaven and hell? Do you think what makes you go to heaven or what makes you go to hell?" And I think my answer was kind of weak. I don't remember. I'm a good person, that kind of thing. And that was kind of all she said at that point. But at the end of the night, she gave me a card with like a prayer of salvation on it, and just gave it to me and said, "Well, here you go. If you want to give your life to Jesus, here's a card you can read." And I remember taking that card, and I went to the hospital bathroom after that, and something, probably the Holy Spirit, not knowing that at the time, like overcame me. And I remember going into the bathroom and reading the prayer and just like sobbing. And I read the prayer, and the prayer was very much like, if you want to go to heaven, you need to give your ticket to Jesus. Kind of like when you get on a train and you're going to give your ticket to the train conductor, you're going to trust that the train conductor is going to get you to where you need to go. And so it was like giving your ticket to Jesus, and you're going to trust Jesus will guide you in your life. And I think at that point I was like, okay, I need something more in my life, because I wasn't still super happy. Like I was just going through the motions. And
were you single at the time?
No. So this was my college boyfriend, and I were probably dating about 4 years at this point. But very much like I was just going through the motions of like, okay, well, I did college. I got my first job. He must be the guy I'll marry. Like we've been together for 4 years. So it was just kind of like, even though, the relationship wasn't bad, but again, like it was still not where it should be. And there was pieces that told me that, it was maybe not the best, but I didn't listen to that. And again, that was probably God at the time warning me, but I didn't listen until, I prayed this prayer in the bathroom. And then that night I went home, and my college boyfriend called me, so this was like 11:30 p.m. because I got off of evening shift, and he called and broke up with me that same night that I surrendered to the Lord. The same night. And I had, again, no idea. Like I thought I was marrying this guy. It was out of the blue. We had not had any conversations about it. And so all of a sudden my world just like crumbled. I was like, and then like, where do I turn? Like, again, I wasn't rooted in my relationship with the Lord. So I was like, I don't know what to do. I just felt so lost, and was very blessed to be living with my girlfriend then, because she supported me through that, and ended up going home, and my parents supported me through it and helped me through it. But most of all, I turned to God then. That was the moment where, after he broke up, I was like, okay, well, clearly nothing has filled me in college, nothing in this world, like everything, I was just let down. Everything left me. We can't really depend on people. We can't depend on anything in this world. It's always going to let us down. And so I learned that the hard way. But at that point I was like, okay, I need something more. So I turned to God and just completely started reading the Bible. I journaled. 2 of my really good girlfriends did have a relationship with Christ. So like they were kind of rooted in telling me like, God has good plans for you. He has a purpose for you. You'll get through this heartbreak. Like it's only temporary. And I just began really like trusting in God to guide me through the season of heartbreak. And that's when I found him during that season.
That's good. And that's like, I just think of the timing of it all. Like, he's never late, never early, always on time. He literally had somebody placed in your path to give you the salvation prayer card the night he knew you and your boyfriend would break up. Like, it's just like, he just amazes me because like
goosebumps, even just the way you said it, to like think about it that way.
And he obviously, it was still hard. That, I think that's a misconception, is, oh, once you give your life to Christ, it's actually probably harder. But like, you have somebody to depend on, you know, because we can depend on ourselves for a little bit until we're like, oh, I actually can't do this, you know. So like, he was so detailed in that. Like, I knew that you were gonna need me that night, so let me put this lady. Like, that is so cool. And I just love that.
Like, to remember that when he's calling us to do that, to be the patient that gave us the card,
yes,
to act out on that, because you never know when you get to be that person for somebody else. And she doesn't know that. Like, I never saw her again after that. So it's not like I ever got to tell her, like, hey, you saved my life. Thank you for that. She'll know when she's in heaven. But other than that, it's like, you just got to do it out of obedience.
Yeah, it is encouraging. Like, I thought of that too. Like, it made me think of work. Okay, how can I do that with, you know, people at work? Because it is a hard question to straight up ask people. It is. But it's true. Like, so many people just think like, well, they either don't know, or there's some people who don't believe in heaven or hell, or, you know, they think they're going to heaven because of the good works, right? But it's like, no, like, you gotta invite Jesus into your heart. And so then it gives you an opportunity to explain that. But I like the card because it's kind of like, the salvation prayer is on there. So you can kind of, you know, do that on your own. But
I didn't like have a real great answer for her, but even just her asking that one simple question was enough to spark something.
And something that people can keep, like a card like that is, it's meaningful and it sticks with people. So I think those are, I've seen something before too. I don't know where it was, but it was like a form of like evangelizing, but it was like it's a coin, and it basically is like a conversation starter to leading into that.
Oh, cool.
And so this guy just carries him around and he's like, here, and then you talk to people. So I don't know. I just love that kind of stuff.
I know, it is cool. But so speaking of timing then, this all led up to, so like 3 months later now, I was going to my best friend's wedding back here in Marshall, and I was a bridesmaid in her wedding. And she had kind of told me at the time, like, I think you should meet one of my friends. You know, this is only like 3 months later. And I was like, I'm good. I'm just like getting in the right relationship with God right now. I was a bridesmaid in her wedding. And I remember looking out into the audience and seeing this friend she was talking about. And I was like, oh, he's really cute. Later on that night at the wedding, we started talking. And just got to know him really well. And we started dating. This is my now husband. But, you know, at the time I was just really in awe of God to bring me to somebody. I was so like, he's so amazing. Like, I don't even deserve him. Like, how did you even arrange this all to happen, God? And I just remember as I entered that relationship, I was rooted in, you know, my identity as a child of God. So I was much more like, God, this relationship is yours. I'm going to let you lead it. I'm not taking control. Like, if it's going to work, I'm going to let you lead it, but I'm not going to put him I'm not going to put Ian up on the pedestal like I did with my other boyfriend, because that didn't work. And he shouldn't be the source of my happiness. Like, my source of my happiness was coming from the Lord now. So I just let him guide me through that. But we dated for about a year and then got engaged and was married 6 months later. So,
wow.
Yeah. So it was all, you know, for that to happen right before my friend's wedding was all very God's timing too.
And where was Ian when you met him? Like, was he following the Lord? How did he grow up?
Ian grew up Catholic too. And so same thing. He kind of stopped going to church too during his college years and hadn't started going back. And so we were both pretty much in the same place, I would say, of like, we met and we talked about God on our first or second date. Like, it was pretty right away. We were both like, yeah, where are you at in your relationship? And we were both kind of in the same spot of like, you know, we have put God on the back burner for these college years and we were both ready to like get back into our relationship with the Lord. So we did. We ended up finding a church in the city, a non-denominational one, which was both new for us.
Yeah. What made you guys choose that? Since you both grew up Catholic.
Yeah. When I was dating my college boyfriend, a friend of his had actually brought us to Eaglebrook in the city.
Oh, sure.
A couple of weeks like before, he broke up with me.
Okay.
But so I went to that church, and that was kind of sparked a little something in me too. And that was the first time I had been to a non-denominational church, and I loved it. Like the music just spoke to me.
Yeah.
And so when Ian and I were dating, we're like, let's try to find a church. And there was one close to where we were living. And so it was non-denominational. We just both started going there and both really liked it.
Nice.
So yeah, our faith grew together. Like we kind of restarted together.
That's good.
Yep. And then when we moved to Marshall, we knew we wanted like another non-denominational church. So I think we only went to 2. And then Ian was like, Grace Life is the one.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. And again, the timing thing of it too, right? Like even where you were both at in your walks, like God paired you up so that you guys could grow together, you know, because it is hard when there's one person it feels like is here and you're here, or vice versa, you know, so that's really good. Yeah. So how have you guys like grown in your faith as far as it comes to like raising your kids and now that you have a family, like what's changed since from then to now?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone through, or maybe more so me, but a lot of ups and downs just through having kids. Like for me, so we got married, and then it was like 4 months later we got pregnant with our first kid. So it happened pretty quick, and then got pregnant just over a year later with our second kid. Weren't married very long before all of a sudden, like 2 kids under 2. And that hit us. You know, we were good in our faith at that time, but then like kids took it to another level. You know, just learning how to like, having kids reveals so much like, oh, I'm really selfish. Like there's a lot to work on. So God definitely used our girls to refine us and to make us more like him. But it took me a long time. Like I had to lay down a lot of selfishness. Ended up going through like a very dark season of postpartum anxiety and depression after the girls, which I didn't realize either was not normal at the time.
Yeah.
I think I knew something was wrong, but at the same time, I didn't tell anybody. Like I hid it from everybody because the enemy tries to shame you with that kind of thing and tell you like, well, so many people want kids and you have 2 kids. So why do you feel this way?
Right.
But it was really something I couldn't help ask for. I didn't tell Ian. I didn't tell anybody. I just hid it. So I like remember I would just like bawl at nighttime because I could not get my second child to sleep. Like she was up constantly. And so there were nights where I was just like sobbing while she was sobbing. But like we had her during harvest season. Ian was very busy. He had to farm. And so a lot of times it was me alone at home with the 2 girls. And so then that was also when it like, peaked. That's not his fault. And I didn't like say anything either. It's just the way it happened. I just remember many nights of like feeling so overwhelmingly sad, but then going out the next day and pretending everything was okay. But I know that God did see me through that and eventually got me to a point where I didn't feel shame to ask for help. So through all that, we got pregnant with our third pretty quickly after the 2 girls. And then we miscarried that baby 9 weeks later. So then that was kind of at that point, another low moment for me where I realized like, oh, I was so consumed in raising the 2 girls and the anxiety and the depression that like I lost track of God again at that moment. Like we always go through seasons, I feel like, but that was a season where I had like lost God again. I was focused on my family. I was like, I want so many kids. And I think family had become an idol for me. And I didn't realize that. But then after this miscarriage, it was like, oh yeah, you're in control, aren't you, God? And I was never mad at God for that miscarriage. I was more like, I know God has my baby and is taking care of my baby until we meet again someday. But I knew that God wanted to use this miscarriage and this season of grief to like bring me back to him again. So again, I like finally slowed down. It was just like, okay, I need to be healed from all this pain and this grief. And I let the Lord heal me through that again. So yeah, through all that strengthened our relationship because then it was after that miscarriage that I finally brought up to Ian about how I had been feeling with the anxiety and the postpartum stuff. And once I even just said it out loud to Ian and brought it to light, like I could already feel the Lord starting to heal me and the shame, at least the shame went away. Anxiety and depression didn't. And I actually started on medication at that point. But because the shame was gone and I didn't feel so like, God's like, it's okay. Like this is a season and I felt totally okay. Like I needed to be on medication during that season.
Yeah. Was Ian like surprised once you told him like, oh, I didn't know you were going through that, you know?
I don't think he quite understood. Or if he just thought this is just like pregnancy and you just had a baby, and he understood like, yes, your hormones are everywhere and you're tired and cranky, but I don't think he truly knew the depth of it until I told him. Again, he was supportive and was just like, well, let's just make an appointment and talk about it. And so
do you think the medication and stuff helped you through that time? And then were you slowly able to like ease off of it, or do you still,
Well, so I stayed on it because then we several years, I don't know how many years later, but we got pregnant with the 2 boys that we have now. So I stayed on my medication for both the pregnancies and the postpartum periods for my 2 younger kids. And that made a world of a difference.
That's good.
Like that in combination of like, I was again with the boys, I was more like putting God first again and not idolizing my family and like taking time for myself, taking care of myself versus when I was with the girls. So that all made a difference. And then, so I stayed on it with them. And then it was probably, I don't know, I stopped the anxiety one a while ago because I felt good. And I was like, I'm ready to be done with that one. And then the other anxiety depression one they had me on, I just stopped like a month or 2 ago, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I had just stuck on it. I was on a low dose and I knew like, back in childhood and college, I had struggled with it. So I was like, well, it's helping. I'll just stay on it. But the Holy Spirit convicted me one day and was like, it's time to stop your meds now. Like you're far enough out of postpartum and everything that I think you should stop it because you can't necessarily hear me super clear because of like, it kind of does block your emotions a little bit. Like I never cried or like, I didn't feel numb by any means like some people do, but it definitely blocks your emotions a little bit. And so the Holy Spirit was kind of convicting me like, I think you should stop because I want you to hear me clearer. And I feel like sometimes the way I hear the Holy Spirit is through feelings and that kind of thing. And so, I stopped cold turkey.
Wow.
It was not an easy month.
No? I was going to say, how was it after being off of it?
I don't know, I definitely had withdrawal symptoms that I didn't realize I was going to have. I think I just was being attacked at the same time too. But it was a really, really rough month. But Ian supported me through it and I kind of just prayed through it and fought through it and had other people praying for me. And now it's been like a month and I feel great.
Wow.
Like no more anxiety, no more issues with depression.
That's awesome.
That
is so cool. That's like a victory right there.
Jesus. But it's been I've been feeling great now. So
good.
But
okay. Next I just wanted to talk about before we wrap up, I know you sent me a video and I know we're going to share it, but can you just talk about the video and what prompted you? Obviously God, but like what is the video about and what does it represent?
So over this past year I have really grown in my I've broken a lot of bondage that has held me captive from being, who God wants me to be. And a big piece of that was fear of man. And so actually about a year ago now, I did the water baptism at our church because there was one night that I felt like the Lord was saying, I want you to get baptized. And at first I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. What will people think? I've been a Christian for too long. And the Lord was just like, I want you to fear me more than you fear man. And so I got water baptized and did it for the Lord, purely for the Lord, to show him like, I'm here, I'm fearing you. And I laid down that fear of man. And went through steps of freedom and went through a bunch of stuff that has really just helped me become free and who God has called me to be and to obey him and do what he's called me to do. And so I've had a lot of different dreams over this past year. And the Lord led me to make this video, which was actually based off of a poem. It's called The Enemy Dances. And I had a dream one night and wrote this whole poem. And then the Lord told me, I think you should make a video out of this. And so I used AI and typed in these images of dreams I've had and of my personal testimony and just other people's testimonies that I've heard. And so I made this video of, basically it's just the walk of from being in bondage to walking in freedom with Christ. And so it starts off kind of like dark and you're like in bondage and you're looking to the world to fulfill you. And once the world lets you down and there's nowhere else to look, you finally look towards Jesus and you find that freedom. And then you learn how to walk with him. You learn who he is and how I think we were saying before, like, it doesn't mean like when your life to Jesus, life is going to be easy.
Right.
You're still going to have a lot of, the enemy's still going to try to attack you. You're still going to have ups and downs, but it just shows like how God's still protecting you through all of that. And he's your comforter. He's your healer. You can find refuge in him when you're going through hard times. So this video just kind of walks you through what it's like to be an unbeliever in bondage all the way to finding freedom in Christ.
That's good. It's a really cool video, you guys. Like, I was like, Sarah, you made this? Like, it's really cool. And just like Sarah said, like, yeah, when you do give your life to Christ, like, it's a process. Sanctification is a process, and deliverance it can be a process. Like, there's different things that the Lord will highlight to you that you need to be free from, or there's an open door here, so it's a really good picture of that, and just the struggles and the lies that you hear and see. Like, I could relate to a lot of them, so it's really cool, and I'm excited for her to share this, and it's in her voice, so it's just really good. So I'm really proud of you, and
thank you.
Proud of you for sharing your story. And just I didn't know Sarah before her giving her life to Christ, but it just seems like, like she says she's an introvert, but I just I don't always see that out
God
of you.
Peeled that away, and now I probably can't say that anymore.
Yeah, like I don't think you're an introvert anymore. Like, I'd say Sarah's pretty outgoing, you're bubbly, and she's not afraid to like tell people about Jesus. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, and love doing the podcast with you, and it's fun to get to know each other even more, because I mean, we talked about probably on episode 1 of how we kind of knew each other, but not really. So these are always fun to get to know each other on different levels.
Yeah. Stay tuned for Bailey's next time.
Yeah. Okay. See you guys.